You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show, the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We're going to do a Packernet After Dark sort of game preview thing. I figured we'd do it this way since it's not a noon game. We got a little bit of extra time. Want to make sure we get all the calls in, and we got just enough to do a quick little preview show. So let's go ahead and do that. Why don't we get started with Uncle Rico?
Yo, Ryan, your Uncle Rico wants to know, how do you feel about Joe 2.0?
I'm guessing this is in regard to the Thursday performance. Look, you can't know for sure anything, but there is a question that I, for example, had posed. It was more of a statement than a question, but there is still a question. How much do the Bengals improve when you're looking at Joe Flacco? My sentiment was quite a bit, despite other people telling you the opposite, that, oh, you know, he's not that much better, it's the same thing, whatever. No. Again, we don't know. This could have been a fluke or a one-off. Maybe you look at him throughout an entire season, which we're going to see for the most part. Joe Burrow is not supposed to be back till mid-December-ish, so we got a lot more Joe Flacco to come here, presumably. Maybe things fall off, and this is the outlier. But, you know, when you look at all the factors, you look at the fact that the Bengals are a very good offense that were held back by a quarterback. An improved quarterback, it's not surprising that they would go back to scoring a lot of points. Now, he's not Joe Burrow, but he is still an improvement, and he does have wide receivers that you can kind of just throw it up to, and they can make magic happen. When you look at the Packers' defense and their ability to hold teams to low scores, I thought it was reasonable to at least think that maybe the defense didn't hold down an already garbage team that was only going to score 18 points or 13 or whatever it was, no matter the opponent. That was my contention. A lot of other people disagreed. No, this is a terrible team. This is an awful team, and our defense didn't do anything impressive. Okay, well, we don't know conclusively anything, but let's just say score one for my team, okay?
Yo, Ryan, it's your Uncle Rico.
Yo.
Hey, I think I mentioned before, I don't get a lot of time to watch games. Sometimes I can't even catch the Packer game, but I caught most of the second half last night of the Bengals and the Steelers game. And, you know, we were previously talking about, you know, defense. You know, the Packers have a good week, and all of a sudden we got all the good receivers in the league, and then they have a bad week, and we need a number, or we need different receivers, or, you know how it works. But anyway, the number one receiver conversation, I think there might not be 32. They might not be dispersed evenly, because I think the Bengals might be hogging them. They might have two number one receivers.
Correct.
For reals, I think. What do you think of that?
They for sure do.
Yeah. They look pretty hot, pretty good. Helped out old Joe 2.0. So, all right then, Rico out.
Yeah, and I think we knew that coming into this. I mean, T. Higgins has pretty well established himself as a number one receiver, even if he's not a top 5 or even top 10 guy, which last year I think he was pretty close. I think if you were to, you'd be hard-pressed to name 31 receivers, or 32 receivers, I guess, that are better than him. He's solid, for sure. Corey from Ohio.
Yeah, a couple thoughts. It's Corey from Ohio.
What's up?
Watched the Bengals-Steelers game last night, and surprisingly didn't turn it off the whole time. It ended up being a good game,
Very
back
good
and
game.
forth.
Yep.
But seeing what Jamar Chase and Higgins and Flacco did again to the Steelers defense makes me feel a lot better about our game against them and what our defense was able to do. J.J. Watt only had one tackle in the whole game. I think it was a sack, but it was one tackle.
Yep.
I think they only got Flacco like twice, maybe, if that. He threw all over the field.
It also kind of plays into the podcast today where I talked about, Hafley, I think, is allowing teams to kind of dink and dunk and is allowing them to erase our turnovers and our sacks and all that stuff because he doesn't think that that's a good way to play offense and that teams would be able to beat us. It does add credence to that entire position when you have, let's just call them good offenses. We don't need to go and say elite, but let's just call it a good offense. When a good offense can't get to 20 points, and we've seen that consistently this year, good offenses have struggled to get to 20 points against this defense. I don't have to like it in terms of the way that it gets done, but I have to respect the results 100%, and this plays into it. You look at what this offense is capable of doing, and the fact that even though they seem to get the ball off and do things and whatever, not getting to 20 points is a big deal, man. That's pretty crazy. And the fact that that's only happened one time a team is able to get to 20. It was 40, but that's still pretty wild.
Guys were open. They were doing the short stuff, just like they did against us. I mean, it just makes me overall feel, a little bit better about our performance. So that was a plus. And then I was also thinking, I think it's kind of shitty that we play after Arizona this weekend. We play the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
So why we have to travel out west for the Arizona game and come back and then go to Pittsburgh and have a 2-game road skid, Pittsburgh has a Thursday night football game and then home. So we go out west to Arizona and then have to travel to Pitt while they get a mini bye, 10 days of rest, and then a home game. How the heck did the NFL not see that one?
Here's a conspiracy theory for you. It doesn't have to be this way. It's hard to kind of fit all the puzzle pieces together in general to try to make everything work. But I wouldn't be surprised if the NFL not only wanted this matchup between Rodgers and his former team, but when it came time to kind of put all the puzzle pieces together, now that we know that Rodgers was here, they want to make sure. I won't even go so far as to say they want Rodgers to win, but they need to make sure Rodgers plays really well against his former team. This whole thing is going to be a massive game. This is Brett Favre and the Packers and that whole rivalry all over again. I mean, you got one shot at this maybe to have Rodgers against his former team. You don't want to have an old Rodgers on a short week or whatever, or on the road, any kind of rustiness that he might have. You want Rodgers as fresh as you can possibly get him, playing like old Aaron Rodgers against his former team. And so you take the team that's probably going to be the favorite, the Green Bay Packers. You put them in a little bit of a tougher bind situationally. You give the Steelers the home game and a little bit of extra time to rest to make sure Rodgers is ready to rock and roll. And you hope that it ends up being a shootout between Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers. I don't think it's that big of a stretch to think the NFL thought at least that far ahead.
I don't quite get it. I thought they tried to make rest and, whether you're home or away and shit like that a little bit more fair, but it doesn't seem like we got anywhere near fair on that side. So just kind of wanted to hear your thoughts on those couple things, man. Go Pack up.
Yeah. And again, you're always going to have some disadvantages and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't need to be that, but I wouldn't be surprised if, because I mean, this is, there's a couple games you got to get right. You know what I mean? And this is going to be a once in a, this is like Tom Brady going back to New England, Brett going back to Green Bay. I mean, these are once in a, I won't say lifetime, but these are rare big time games that you don't want to mess up. So it wouldn't super shock me if that was factored in. So, all right, let's take our first break. We've got 5 more calls to get through, so we'll do that on the other side.
Ryan, this is Nico in Idaho. Just listened to your podcast about the number one receiver issue. Can't wait to hear what you said. But in the beginning, you said that you're going through fast and you're a Lil Testy. I had no idea you were a rapper. Is Lil Testy your rap name? Just had to ask. That's all. Sorry, my bad. Go Pack Go.
Lil Testy. Oh, no. Jeez. Well, we got a song for today, boys. Oh, I can't wait to get this podcast over with so we can start making the song Lil Testy and to see how creative we can get with the, you call it a double entendre? You know what I mean? Oh, man. I hope that doesn't stick. Pack Daddy's bad enough. Lil Testy is, that's going to be rough, man.
Hi, Ryan. It's Randy from Minnesota. Temporarily from Arizona. Yeah, we're down there for the game.
Yeah, I forgot to mention
I just
that.
got to let you know. We were at a bar at the hotel, and a bunch of Packer fans, obviously, with Events USA.
Okay.
And they had a DJ going, and I went up and said, "Could you please find the song?" It was Bears fans cry. And the whole bar was just dying. Everyone was loving it.
That's awesome.
Everyone was asking me about you or the podcast and where this is at. And I was telling them about it. So hopefully you'll get a lot more listeners off of this. But everyone loved it. What you're doing with the music is great. And also what you're doing with your podcast is fantastic. Anyway, just want to let you know, go Pack Go. I'll give you updates during the game on Sunday. And we'll talk later. Bye.
That's awesome, Randy. I really appreciate that, man. And, as much as I sit here and I beg you guys for change, $1 a month, patreon.com/pack_daddy. And it does help, and I really appreciate it. There's nothing better than doing something like that to bring the house down with one of our Packernet songs and then use that to promote the podcast. So, again, a $1 a month is awesome. If every single person went out and found one new listener to become like a regular listener, that would be massively life-changing for myself and my family. So if you could do either of those two things, $1 a month or one new listener, that kind of stuff is awesome. So I really appreciate that. I'm glad you guys had fun with that. I'm glad that it was a hit. And I never even thought about that. That's a good call, playing some of these, laughing at the Bears, laughing at the Vikings type songs or whatever, Packers hype songs at some of these rallies that they have, If any of you guys happen to be there or whatever, even at a Packers party or anything like that, that's a great idea. So I appreciate that, and glad you guys are having a good time. Hopefully it's a good time out there. I'm hoping at some point, things get to a point where I can start going to Packer games in other stadiums. I think that would be a lot of fun. As much as I tend to be a stay-at-home kind of person, that would be kind of a fun little bucket list thing, be able to check out some other stadiums and go to some away games. I'm less interested in hostile environments. I just don't feel like dealing with people being jagoffs. But there's a lot of cool stadiums out there I'd like to see. And just places to go, like Arizona. I went there when I was very, very little. My aunt used to live out there. We went to visit her probably like 1991, because my cousin was born in 1990, so it would have been when she was very, very little. But I haven't been out there since. I'd love to get back out there. But I'm glad you get to do that. And be sure to shoot over some pictures if you got them. You can send them to this number or hit me up on social media or whatever. Share them around because we'd love to see it. All right, let's take our final break. We got 3 more calls, and we will rip through them.
So, Brian, this is Randy from Minnesota again.
Yo.
And I've been corrected. I needed to tell you, according to my wife, that we had people out dancing to, the Bears Still Cry and other Packer songs. So I just want to let you know your fame is spreading and people love you. Anyway, That's all I got. It's a quick one. Go Pack, go. Bye.
That's awesome. Yeah, again, I appreciate that. The thought of people out dancing. Again, it's one of those things, I don't know what other people think. I mean, obviously we had, who was it, Bramble, I think, called in and was like, yeah, I think the AI stuff sucks. It's like, well, all right, fair enough. I don't know. Is it two people that like it that just happen to reach out and make me feel like it's a super popular thing because, the people that like it are more likely to reach out and most people are annoyed. But I don't, it's so hard to gauge things. Even when I have different podcast topics, it's rare that there's something like Laughing at the Enemy that is so, like, everybody's chomping at the bit all the time. I got a pretty good feeling that is a popular segment. Other than that, I don't have any idea what you guys like, other than I'm just going to keep doing whatever I feel like, and so far, thankfully, you guys keep showing up. But it's very cool to hear that kind of feedback that, not only did you know about the song and have access to it and think about it or whatever, but got the DJ to do it and got that kind of a response from it. So that's pretty awesome, and it's encouraging, too. I got to get back to putting some work out, especially for those probably those types of Packers hype / rivalry diss songs are probably the best ones to stick to. But again, thank you and your wife and all the people out there, and I hope you guys have a good time. Uncle Rico, send us home.
Yo, Brian, it's your Uncle Rico. This is a weird thing, but it freaks me out. And, a lot of guys will call in and say, I hope we curb stomp this opponent, or we look at curb stomper. We need to curb stomp him. I can't hear that. The movie American History.
Yeah, that's what immediately comes to my mind.
I think it's Edward Norton.
Yep.
Yeah, he curb stomps that guy. I can't see that and I can't hear that. That's terrible. Let's say something else, guys. You're freaking Uncle Rico out, man. Let's kick their booty, or I don't know, something. Curb stomp. No, that's not good. That's gross. Later.
It is pretty wild. I mean, it's kind of become like common vernacular. We're gonna curb stomp them or whatever. But it's one of those things when you think about it visually, or even just associate it with American History X. It is like one of the most violent, awful things ever. Like, it's just like, it's not a thing you should ever wish for, hope for, want for. I mean, you could always throw in, whatever caveats of, well, I don't mean literally, whatever. But I don't know, man. That is a rough one for sure. I get what you're saying. It is one of those that I've probably said it. I don't know, but it's one of those that at least when I first started saying it or hearing it or whatever, it was kind of like, I don't think you should say that. But I think it's become so common that I don't think about it as much anymore. But that is definitely the prime visual representation of a curb stomp is American History X. And if you haven't seen that, it is, first of all, a very good movie. But yeah, it's as bad as I mean, it's as bad as it gets. Uncle Rico Part 2.
Yo, Ryan, it's your Uncle Rico. I'm wide receiver 1, in case anybody wanted to know.
Okay,
no,
all right.
I forgot I'm a quarterback. Anyway, that's craziness. The whole argument. The coach doesn't determine wide receiver 1. Wide receiver 1 determines wide receiver 1.
I agree.
His talent puts him on the field, and his talent gets him open, and his talent makes the catch, and his talent gains the yards.
The argument I received in return is, well, then I guess you don't understand how route progressions work, because the coach can put him as the number 4 receiver, and then he's not going to get the ball. I don't care how good you are if you're the number 4 receiver. And my thought is, hold on a second. So you're telling me that not only is the coach, I mean, so we acknowledge this is your best receiver, But now the theory is that he's trying to suppress him on purpose because his desire is equal distribution. Because if that's not what you're saying, and what you're actually saying is, no. I'm just saying sometimes he's like wide receiver 4. Okay. Well, even if what you're saying is he refuses to make him wide receiver 1 on a route progression more than, let's say there's 4 receivers more than 25% of the time. Everyone is exactly 25% of the time, which is we're getting into such a silly theory that the coach would care that much about equal distribution that he creates a playbook, not based on scheme and what everybody's strengths and weaknesses are and how we can get guys open and do things and all. And no, it's based on equal distribution is the most important thing. So from there, if it's everybody's exactly equal, you're still going to have wide receiver 1 emerge as wide receiver 1 because they're going to get open when they're the first progression more often. He's also going to get open when he's the second progression more often, whereas the other guys are not going to be open as much as the number 1 progression, meaning it's going to go to him more often. You're also going to have a quarterback that trusts him more and is going to get through his progressions more often. You're also going to have a guy that even when he's not open, the quarterback is going to treat him as though he's open, which he's not going to do the other guys. What you're going to have, in effect, is the results of a wide receiver 1 emerging, whether the coach wants it or not, as wide receiver 1. That's still with the theory that is absurd, by the way, that that the coach is trying desperately to suppress somebody because we don't want an uneven distribution of the football. It's just such an incredibly silly theory to me, based on nothing. Based on the fact that Golden doesn't have like 1,000 yards already. And the only thing that I will accept as an answer is Matt LaFleur is preventing this from happening, because there's no other reason why this wouldn't be happening. Well, there are other reasons, actually. There are plenty of other reasons. So, it's just, the whole thing is so absurd. And I was shocked at how much pushback I got on that. I mean, there were a couple people that reached out and they argued with me on different points, like kind of what you're saying, when I made like the Devontae Adams argument, and they were like, well, yeah, look at the receivers. And I'm like, I know, that's my whole point. What I'm saying is that the coach is not suppressing people for the sake of denying somebody wide receiver 1 status. And they're like, why would anybody believe that? It's like, exactly. But shockingly, a massive portion of the fan base absolutely believes it. Absolutely believes that Matt LaFleur is choosing to suppress our best receivers because he just doesn't want wide receiver 1s on his team. And it's such a weird conspiracy theory.
You think that when they run a play, they're like, okay, this play is going to Romeo Doubs. No. There's like however many guys are doing their job, and if one of them's open, hopefully the quarterback sees him and gets him the ball. It's not schemed around one guy. We're going to get this guy open. Well, if he didn't get open, are we still cramming the ball down his throat when there's 2 or 3 or one other guy open? That's the dumbest thing I ever heard of. Wide receiver 1 makes himself wide receiver 1.
Right.
Nobody deems him wide receiver 1. If he's got...
That's why, magically, when you look at the top receivers, they're all the top receivers. I mean, you would have to think, if this is genuinely what you believe, you would have to believe that Matt LaFleur is not the only coach to have ever done this and the first time this has ever happened. Meaning, you would have to believe that there are other elite receivers. There are other Puka Nakuas and Jamar Chases and Justin Jeffersons. Those guys are out there, but they're currently actively being suppressed. I'm just curious who you think that they are. There's Matthew Golden and who else? I'm just wondering.
Talent and abilities, he gets the most playing time. And with his talent and abilities, he does what he does. Otherwise, he doesn't become wide receiver 1. It doesn't take a friggin' brainiac to figure it out. Yeah, we got this guy on the bench, super talented, best receiver on our team, but we're not going to play him because our whatever, y'all special. Ready to go out.
Yeah, and the best argument that they have in favor of this random conspiracy theory, which has blown up and maybe partially caused this, is Matt LaFleur's quote saying, we don't want to force feed guys. We've done that in the past and we don't want to do that again. I don't want you to force feed guys either. That's not what I want, but that's not what you have to do to make somebody a wide receiver one. Again, this is not coach dependent. You know, Jamar Chase is not wide receiver one because the coach determines you must force feed him. And otherwise, if you didn't do that, he'd be some bum somewhere. You don't have to force feed wide receiver ones. You just play. If you play and they play and everybody else plays, then they're going to get more yards than other guys. And they're going to emerge as better receivers. And they're going to have more catches. And they're going to do more magical, wonderful things. And that's going to make them a wide receiver one. I don't think most coaches look at a guy and say, we're going to force that, we're going to make this a thing. I'm sorry, that's not some kind of slam dunk. But all right, let's see what we can do here. You all have a good day. Packers game coming up. I really hope it's a good one. I'm ready for another Victory Monday. I'm hopeful for some more stuff to get excited about. I'm ready to party and freaking bring the house down, boys. Let's see how this goes. All right, have a good one. Go Pack, go. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Yeah, they call me Lil Testy. Don't get it twisted. Name sound funny till my temper gets lifted. Packernet podcast, where the truth gets loud. I'm a small fuse spark in a big cheese crowd. Voice of the pack, keep the callers in line. Say something dumb. I'm snapping on time, Lil Fuse, big boom. Yeah, I stay precise, short on patience, but my takes sound nice. I'm Lil Testy. I snap real fast, tiny temper, big impact, built to last. Lil Testy, small name, large blast. You can measure what you want, but I outclass. My bars swing low when the pressure rise. Hot takes burn through the Sunday skies. Callers come and come again, can't stay away. I blow my top, then laugh the next day. I'm Lil Testy, yeah. The microphone shakes, snapping like a rubber band at the Packers fakes. Lil Testy, compact design, all heat, no meat, still first in line. Small fuse, big boom, that's how I roll. From the basement booth to the Super Bowl. Lil Testy, grumpy, proud and free, short fuse, big heart, that's me.